All right. Welcome to the call. Welcome to the call, everybody. Today is July 9th, and we are coming together for our weekly Outlook call. The market opens in just the next 30 minutes, and we're just going to go through a couple different setups, a couple different ideas, that are possible for the week ahead. See if there's anything that my eyes are drawn to. Obviously, this is not financial advice. Just my perspectives and, kind of the ways that I see the market, as well as anybody else that happens to join us here on this call. We'll just be sharing perspective on, what we expect or what we're looking for in the week ahead. Hopefully my perspectives can bring some value to you. But we're going to go ahead and dive straight into it, you guys. Typically I have my camera on for these calls, but I've got a newborn baby at the house, and I literally just got out the shower, went to go change. And as soon as I got out the shower, I went to go pick her up, and she spit up on my shirt. So I got a black t-shirt with the so we're going to keep the camera off for today, but we'll go ahead and dive straight into it, you guys. Let me share my screen, and we are going to go ahead and get started. Where I want to get started off at, as we always do, is just with a quick review of the weekly, the news that we have ahead. Starting off, coming out the gate, we've got some CNY, which is like the Chinese yuan. We've got some CPI news today. That is an orange folder news. Typically, with the Chinese yuan, because most people don't trade the yuan, but typically some pairs that can sometimes be affected by the yuan are like the Australian dollar pairs, or anybody that trades, AUDs and, sometimes NZDs, anybody that trades with China, can be affected sometimes by this yuan news. I don't expect to see anything too crazy coming out of the gate here, but we will, we'll keep an eye out for that, see how the market moves when that news is released. The next thing that we've got some GBP news. That'll be Monday, 11 a.m. first thing in the morning. Gov Bailey speaks. That's kind of like after the open of the market. So, I'll see how that goes as well. And then we've got some NZD and some AUD news on Tuesday. Not my usual news events that I really I really focus in on, but then we've got some CPI news on Wednesday. So this is kind of what I'd be looking for. You guys see, I'm kind of looking through there, and I typically look for, high impact. As you see, what I'll do is I filter out my news events, and I only look for the red or the orange folders, not because I'm looking to take trades when that news comes out. But as a retail trader in the market, what we're looking for is the volatility, right? We want to be in the market, or be, positioned in the market, or be watching the market when the volatility comes into the market. I'm not the best fundamental analysis, but I know some news events that I typically like to trade. Typically, I like to trade events that have a number release, right? Like for CPI news, we have a forecast that's at 3.1, right? Year over year, and 0.3 month over month, right? So if we come out greater than this number, price is going to move into a positive direction. This is going to affect the entire market, because every pair against the US dollar will be affected when this CPI, news comes out. This is the consumer price index. So it essentially shows the change in the price of goods and services purchased by consumers. This is big news, right? These are the news events that I look for, because typically when these numbers come out, it's just going to be a straight number, right? It'll be let's say it's 0.4% instead of 0.3%, and the US dollar goes crazy to the upside, right? Or let's say it's the opposite and it falls, right? Whatever that number comes out at, we're going to see a response to that. We're going to see a response to that based on the sentiments, right? Based on how people feel about the news, based on, what's actually going on. And typically for me, I like to look for these kind of news events in the, supply and demand zones, or in our structure points, or, wherever the case may be. I like to trade events with forecasted numbers more so than statements and policy reports. Because sometimes with the statements and policy reports, they may say one word, and based on how that's perceived, it swings the market. You see stop loss hit to the top, stop loss hit to the bottom, the market ends up in the exact same place that you started off in. I don't really like that. I try to avoid it. I like, we got CPI and then PPI news. CPI is my favorite. news event of the month most times. I've been saying that for quite a while. Like one of my favorite news events, because it's pretty straightforward. Like you're right or you're wrong. I like to be wrong quickly if I am wrong, and I like to be right for a long time if I am right. So with that being said, you guys, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for CPI news coming out on Wednesday, PPI news on Thursday. What that does for me, and the reason as to why it's always good to, even though I'm not the best fundamental trader, but the fact that I go and do that ahead of time, it allows me to slow down when the week actually starts, right? Because if I understand that the news event that I'm waiting for is actually coming out on Wednesday, that means that Sunday and Monday, I might not even trade because the market probably isn't where I want it to be to get the best opportunity, right? What if between today and Tuesday, the market moves slowly? You can't see my hand, but I'm making like a wave pattern downwards, whatever, move slowly to an area that the market can then buy off of when this news comes out, right? That's how I typically try to look at it. I don't really do much more than that, right? So maybe Sunday, Monday, market moves against the actual trend. Tuesday, maybe it gives us our first entry and it buys off. And then, by Wednesday, price buys back or sells back to that level. And then we take big buy. Like, that's how I kind of look at it. But we'll dive straight into it and see like what I actually, or what we actually see. If you guys got any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll keep it going. As you guys know, I like to start off with the dollar index. So this is going to work, tie in perfectly in line with, what we just went over, right? Where is the market going to be at on Wednesday? I'm going to delete this. I think I did that for a lesson or something like that. But typically this is what I'm seeing right here on the dollar. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing on the dollar. So we can see Friday and Thursday, we got some big sell-offs on the dollar, right? We actually took buys initially. We took buys on the dollar, which means that pairs like NZD, we took shorts on those things, right? And the market actually came and pulled back in. So there's a few things that I'm looking for or that I'm paying attention to in this area here. Overall, what you can see is that I am still looking for buys on the dollar, right? Even though we have this big bearish engulfing candle, I like to look at the engulfing candles and kind of look back at the previous candles and see this one candle completely erased like the last week and a half. You feel me? It pulls all the way back into here. This is nothing to be like, I don't take that lightly, right? I pay attention to that. That means that we could have some sellers interested in, there might be there's a short interest on the dollar right now, right? How short, how big of a short interest? What can we possibly be seeing? There's a few things that I know that we can possibly be seeing because we took sells earlier on the dollar. If you guys can see this, we actually even took some of these sells on like the 4-hour time frame. So I'll go into there. So we took sells on the dollar, right, into this level. We anticipated price coming back and hitting our targets. I initially expected for price to stay above this previous high, right? To come back in, maybe test here and then start to reverse. We saw it, but then price comes in and it tests like this structure and then falls and creates an imbalance, right? Price comes in and creates an imbalance here. Now, what I can see is that price is kind of pulled back into there and created like this double, I don't know if we would call this like an M structure or whatever the case may be, but we've sold back down again in a very big way. We have created an imbalance to the upside to where regardless of whether or not the market is going to buy or sell from this point here, what I would expect is I would expect at least a pullback to this area here before we continue to the downside, before shorts continue, right? That's one thing. So I would be looking at least a pullback, to the buy side before we see price continue. If we do end up seeing, because on the daily time frames, what I liked is, and I'm telling you guys, okay, yeah, there's a potential that I see shorts come in from here, right? There's also an opportunity for long position trades as well, and I'll tell you why I say that and why I see that. Number one, we have our low. This is our peak low over here, right? We have come back into this level, but as we've come back into this, this has created a higher low, right? Low, higher low. We've got this big bullishness that comes into the market. Like this is some really big buys that comes in and it actually breaks this downtrend, right? From that point in time, we kind of see the market go into this sideways. I don't want to say consolidation because it's like really, it is moving, but it's moving sideways, right? And the ranges are getting tighter. When we first broke, we created a high in here, right? So now we had our high and we have a lower high, right? We can go ahead and say, you know what, the trend is to the downside, high, lower high, triangle pattern, right? But then at the exact same point, we also can say that we have our low and then price comes in and creates a higher low. If we wanted to look at that, we can look at it on the line chart and we can say, this is our low, this is our higher low, this is a higher low. And now, even with the sells that have come into the market, right? Even with all of those sells, this low is still higher than this low. So we can go ahead and we can create an argument in our head and say that despite this sell, this price selling off might be our best opportunity. Sometimes people get intimidated by the, by the bearish candle. It's a big bearish candle. Sometimes they're intimidated, but sometimes this gives you your best risk to reward trade setups because our stop loss is still below the lows, right? And then with it being below the lows, we get a chance to enter a trade that's like this, right? If I get stopped out, I get stopped out. Sometimes, and if you guys see here, I've kind of like drawn out a couple of scenarios here because there's a potential that price pulls back first, right? If price pulls back first and buys from here, but then I start to see some rejections, right? Because I know you're like, oh, wait, but your stop loss on this trade is at the entry for this previous trade. Like, how does that even make sense? Because if it buys first, if it buys from here and it just buys and it never comes back, then cool, this is my entry where it is currently, you feel me? But if it buys and then I start to see some rejections back in here, then what I would be looking at is I'd be looking to see if sells come in. I would probably close the trade if it comes to this level and struggles here, right? I'll probably close out my position in profit and I'll wait for a better opportunity. Then I'd probably wait for price to actually start to sell into this lower level here. And then from that lower level, I may be looking for a response or a reaction from the market at that point. Maybe we end up testing a little bit lower, even down to these levels here before we start to see price turn around into the direction that we want it to turn into. So I know this is confusing. My charts probably look super like messy, but I've played out a couple of different scenarios because I understand even, whether I think it's a buy or a sell or, the market's going to do what it wants. And I want to be ready no matter what it does. I don't care whether we're buyers or sellers. I like the idea of breaking down a little bit lower, taking out these lows or these, these buyers, and then giving us our opportunity. So that's a potential that I'm seeing right now. We've got this kind of triangle pattern. We have higher lows, but we also have lower highs. So essentially what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a fake breakout, right? I want to see us break out of this triangle pattern. The best way for us to break out is to the downside and then to like pull back in. So the people that sell, they're like, oh yeah, it broke out of the downwards triangle pattern, You feel me? They end up getting kind of like, they get taken out their trades. No offense to them, but I want to see like the market make kind of like a false move, maybe. But we'll see how that goes. That's kind of what I see on the dollar. It's not so clear to me. It's not in a place for me to take a trade right now. That's the thing. And I have to be able to recognize that and say, you know what, I'm not entering a trade because of the fact that it's not the best opportunity for me to enter a trade, right? And when the best opportunity comes, then I'm going to be ready because I see it, but I'm still going to remain patient. So there's a couple things that I want to see. I want to see if the market breaks lower and I'll buy off of the lows, or if it breaks higher and I'll wait and I'll buy off of the lows, right? So we're going to buy down here, or if price breaks up here, then we will be buying up here, but I wouldn't want to wait that long. Anyways, we'll continue, you guys. That's my dollar. I see the dollar can buy probably to sell to buy. That's complicated, but I see that we should be pulling back in here even if we go lower. I want us to take out the lows, but I feel like we might pull back first, right? What does that mean for everything else? That means for pairs like my NZD, I might see sells on NZD before I see my buys, right? And you guys will always see on my chart, sometimes I got like future projections, like areas that I look at, because I really do expect that the market will test certain areas, right? I like to buy at the bottom and sell at the top. So I'm always focusing on the top and when the market will go to the top. But the question is for me is like, how does it get there, right? Does it go straight there? Like, does the news that comes out take it straight to that point, right? Is that what the dollar's telling me? Or may it be more, that we sell first and then we buy? So when I come at it with that perspective, what I start to see is I start to see different like areas in the market. Like I see what's going on right now, right? So again, what's going on now, I love it. I love this area all the way up here. I really, really do. Why? For a couple of different reasons. So we've got this, a couple points for, to kind of look at or to address. We've got this structure that I see here in the middle, right? This is really important to me. This area right here, right? Where prices come in, we've broken above, bought up, and then come back into this level, right? Bought up, and then we've come back to this level. And then we've broken through here, right? And then we bought up and we've broken through this level. And then now we're back in this area right here. In addition to that, we also have these big sells, right? That have come in high, lower high, right? Now, this would be where we could expect to see another lower high if the market was just going to fall from there. But with the fact that we broke through here, right? And what it seems to be is that we've come back and retested here. I would expect this to be our new low, right? When I look at it, this is our low. And then we have higher low, right? And then we have a higher low. This would give me an expectation that the market will be buying, that I am going to be looking for these long-term buys on the New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar, which is telling me that there's a potential that the dollar falls, the New Zealand dollar rises against the dollar. That kind of conflicts what I see on my dollar itself. So one of them is not going to play out. One may be right, one may not play out. When I look at my NZD, there's a couple of areas that I see in the market. Like I said, this will be our new low here, right? My new low. Low higher than this low. So I'm looking for a high that's going to be higher than the previous high. That's the first thing that I would look for. Does it go straight there right away? There's a couple scenarios, right? Either the next scenario is that when this candle opens, it's a big bullish engulfing candle and it comes and it takes out this high, right? But if I wanted to go ahead and kind of look at this on like a 4-hour time frame or a 4-hour perspective, I might go ahead and see some areas a little bit lower that might be challenged first, to where price may end up selling back into this area and then giving us the opportunity to take buys off of this area. So if it sells to buy, maybe it sells for the first couple of days of the week. And as it sells, it comes back into like this area here and tests like this structure and test this area one more time, never taking out this low, right? So I would always keep my stop loss below this low. For me, I'd probably actually have my stop loss like all the way in here. And this would be probably like a 30 pip, maybe a 20, probably 30 pip stop loss on this trade. And I'd be waiting for price to see if it trades back into this area here. I'm looking for the best opportunity from where we are now, right? Because obviously the best opportunity would have been right here, that initial sell into this area. Cool. We sold into here, we buy, right? There's another thing that we can actually look at on the 4-hour time frame. And this is how I actually took the trade. Because there's how I see for a future trade and the trade that I'm currently in. The trade that I'm currently in, I actually took sells on the New Zealand dollar, which is, I know is like opposite kind of what I'm saying a little bit. But what you'll see is that we do have this, these sellers that came into the market, right? With these sells that came into the market, we have price that pulls back in here and we create a lower high, like we kind of mitigate this imbalance. And then now when price comes back in here, essentially what I see is that I see there's areas down here. I like to target these wicks. I say that every week. I like to target areas like this and then areas like this, right? So what I might expect is I might expect to see the New Zealand dollar maybe sell. They could sell for maybe just 100 pips, right? Which is what I actually believe. I think the targets that I have are about 100 pips, 20 pips stop loss, which is like a stop right above the highs, something in here. And I was actually looking to take this trade 100, and I believe it was 8 pips, 107, 108 pips, and taking those sells to buys, right? I want to always maintain a high above this level, but I want to see like how this market turns in. Yeah, I like it. I like it on the hour. I like how price looked to buy and then came back in and, sat right here. I see that we can probably come in here. Let's see if I can use this annotation. Let's see. We might be able to stay below this level here, these wicks in here, and stay in here and do something like this. Target this wick and then target this wick, right? And then target this structure that was broken, and then give us some massive buys to the upside. That's kind of how I would take that. If it happens like that this week, magnificent. Typically now how I go ahead and I take that, you guys, into consideration, given the fact that we have news on Wednesday, right? Maybe we get sells to start off the week. Maybe we get sells to start the week. And then when the news comes out, if the market's right here, I'm looking to be a big buyer, is essentially how I would take that. I would do the complete opposite with Euro NZD. So with Euro NZD, like I said, I'm looking for sells on the dot on NZD. I'm looking for buys on Euro NZD. Euro NZD was actually a trade that this is a big, I don't know. I got to see how this one plays out, because we took the buys here, right, at 1.8. Now we're getting some big bullish engulfing candles, right? Big bullish engulfing candles. We can say that price goes ahead, maybe it duplicates this move, and price goes and tests this structure here. We want to see if price wants to pull back into Euro NZD is interesting. It's going to move opposite of NZD USD primarily, but where it goes next, I'm not 100% sure, because there is these imbalances here that I would like to see price come back in to those imbalances and then to buy from there. But we can also see short-term buys to probably test this structure and then to fall from there. We can also go ahead and say that this creates like a downtrend that is broken, and maybe Euro NZD has already retested, and that it just continues to buy from here, and we duplicate this move. And then once we duplicate this move, it takes us like into this higher region. And that supports our NZD sells, right? While NZD USD is selling, maybe Euro NZD is looking to buy back into the 177.6 area or 177.8. I actually had, it could buy back into here before we see the next move. I'm not so interested in Euro NZD at this time, if I can be honest, right? I love Euro NZD, but I'm not so much interested in Euro NZD at this time. Why? Because we're in the middle of the move. You feel me? Sometimes that can be good if there's like a clear like accumulation or reaccumulation, but we're in the middle of the move. I like to sell at the top and buy at the bottom. Y'all don't remember I called this, well, I don't know if I called this buy, but we was in this buy as well, right? And then we were in this sell as well. Why? Because guess what? When we're at the top, I can clearly see that this high is lower than this previous high, right? When we're at the bottom, this was the one that I showed you guys, where I showed you guys that little wick strategy that I like, to where we seen the wick, price came in, price came back in, and we took the buys to the upside. Now we're in the middle. You feel me? That's why I don't really like to take the trades. Like, even if you see it, this structure is kind of ugly to me, for real. I expect that, and I looked at it over here. We already called this trade buys to the upside, called buys from, expecting to duplicate this previous move. But I really feel like there's a potential that price pulls all the way back in here, and I don't like it. I feel like my stop loss would have to be bigger, to support me actually taking this trade, bigger than I would like. And I'm just not into it. So Euro NZD is not really on my list right now. I might set some targets down in here. I'm gonna keep an eye on it, but I might set targets in here. And, I believe eventually we're gonna take out this high. I really do. I think that we're gonna go to the upside, but I don't know if we go directly there. You feel me? So we'll keep that rocking. USD CAD might give us the work all week. We might get a play on USD CAD all week. I actually had to trade his stop loss on USD CAD last week. But I really do see a potential for us to maybe even see from here. Sometimes there's those opportunities, those trades that all week long, they're just hitting, right? USD CAD might be one of those, right? There's two things that I see on it. There's a potential that price sells off from here and that we sell into this area here. I'm gonna use this annotation. We sell back into this area here, right? And price comes in here and then we fall. Maybe we duplicate this move, right? And we duplicate it here and price ends up falling, right? That's one possibility. Another possibility is that we actually go ahead and we get the buys directly off of the structure here, since we have structure here, structure here, structure here, structure here, structure here. We got this wick right here. We got structure here. This was a previous imbalance like this, or a previous breach right here where we got that break and that retest. Like those are some of the options that we can see. So this area that we're currently trading at on USD CAD is a very, very important area. If we do see buys on US, and the thing is that you see, like, as I'm going through all of these things, some of my analysis, some of my, my views are like, they're conflicting. You feel me? Like some things are conflicting to me. That's why I even take more time and go slow, right? I just wait more, right? Unless it's like a clear, like easy set. I like easy setups, you feel me? So look, I might go ahead and take this buy right here. I might risk it off the rip. Why? Because the risk to reward to me is going to be so great. I know that this is structure again, like we see point here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I go back, there's probably 9, 10, 11. Like there's so many times that the market has come to this exact area and done something, right? Something is going to be either a sell, and guess what? I'm out the trade fast. You feel me? 20 pip stop loss. Or it's going to be a big buy and my risk to reward is going to be stupid. I'm going to risk $1 and make $15 because of the best risk to reward trade setup. So USD CAD, I'm very curious about it because I see this area up here as an area where the market will eventually come back and retest. I don't know when it happens. Oh my gosh, on the 4-hour time frame, I'm in USD CAD right now. Actually, I remember this from Friday. This was one of the last trades that I called. I got stopped out on it first and I re-entered USD CAD on that 4-hour. I like how price is coming back into the structure and just going ahead and creating we got these big bullish engulfing candles. Sometimes this is the pullback, right? And then from there we get that push to the upside. So I actually like, I want to see what happens on USD CAD as we go ahead on that 4-hour. You see how strong this area is. I like this a lot, to be honest. I might give it 20 pips, 25 pips, 25 pips at the most, for real. 1.325, 325 as well. The next thing that you guys that I'm going to be teaching on, and we're going to be going further into it, are how I caught some of these trades. Like this Euro NZD sell, we caught this at the quarter. You feel me? 1.8002 is my entry, like as pristine as it could be, because we understand that it's at a key quarter, right? It's at a key level. You feel me? The fact that we just started off the third quarter, some of these key levels like 1.325 is important to me. We can see the market has opened and the dollar has actually opened up lower, right? So we've seen out the gate, we got a little gap on the dollar to the downside. That should actually push everything else. We should see NZD's buys that hasn't opened yet. The dollar index will probably open on, after the hour, but we're going to keep on going through it, you guys. And we're going to go ahead and see. I'm about to probably check on my positions, but we're going to go ahead and see. Let me make sure I'm still in this one. No, I'm in USD JPY, UJ, UJ, not UCAD. All right. So I'm still holding this UJ trade. Let's see. I like this as well. It's the same kind of structure, same kind of thing. Prices actually bought in, pushed nearly to this level. So we can see, maybe we see a bigger breakdown. I don't know. But we're coming back and testing this block right here. This looks actually very similar to GBP JPY. And what you'll see for GBP JPY is it's perfectly at that 182.5. That's a quarter, 182.5. If you think about 1,000 pips, right? From 180 to 190, that's 1,000 pips. GBP, I just skipped a pair though. I skipped Euro JPY. I don't really like Euro JPY right now. And I just saw this on UJ, that GJ and UJ. Let's see. I like this trade as well on GJ. I kind of have an eye on this as well, sitting right there, 182.5, perfectly at the quarter. When you start to look at the quarters, that's when you start to see, you know, these minimum of 250 pip trades, right? From 182.5 to 185. That's essentially kind of what I might be looking at on GBP JPY for price to come back in and test this higher structure here. We'll see if we get that move as well. Let's see. I really like this. I really ended up coming in and I took this. I haven't taken this trade, but this is one of the ones that I looked at over the weekend. And I was like, I kind of like where it's at right now. If I can get in this trade without like there being a huge spread on it, I will enter this trade at this 182.5 or when that market opens in the next hour with the spreads being reduced. I like how price came back into these structures. I pay attention to these wicks oftentimes, right? Especially when these wicks like these wicks come back into the areas where price pulled back from. I see like there's like almost like a double. Yeah, I think this one will go straight. I feel like this one will go straight. Market just opened and we opened at 182.51. So we're 1 pip in profit on the trade that we just talked about. But I like these equal highs, right? I like this area right here where price kind of comes in here and it just rejects. Even though, guys, what you got to realize is that, and you can look at it on like a line chart, right? But even though it rejected at the same level, these highs are still higher than this high, right? I think this trade will hit. This should be a good one for the week. This will be 250 pips for the week. You feel me? I think this is one of those ones. I like this a lot. I like this one a lot. We've got this sell that comes in here that kind of scoops liquidity, but it doesn't break below this low here. You know, sometimes people will have their stop losses here, or they'll have their stop losses here. And when these moves happen, they think that the low was lower than the previous lows, but sometimes we're testing not that block, but this one. And guess what? We're still sitting in a zone that's higher than our previous lows. That's one thing that a lot of people do. They'll look at these shorter termed lows and be like, oh yeah, no, this trade took out mine. But in reality, like, yeah, we're getting ready to take out these highs. This trade is trade of the week worthy. I already got all my trades, all my ones that I'm like, that I already seen this one, but I am seeing it again. And I'm like, yeah, this one to 185, I like that a lot, right? So if you guys are on the call, if you took the time to be here, put that one on your list. We're looking at GBP JPY at 182.5, and we're looking to take buys on this pair, probably coming into 185, right? 185 with our stop loss below this is going to be like the hour lows, right? Because price already came back in here and made this drastic move. I don't really think, even though we got these wicks in here, I don't really think price needs to come back down again. We don't need to retest again. Look at that structure. That's like an order block, bomb in here, bomb. Really, and we're going off, you guys. This is a trade. I like this for the week. If I called one on the call, I called this one on the call. You feel me? What do I like from there? GBP USD. GBP USD is, sometimes the GBPs will move together, but sometimes this will move with the, USD based pairs. GJ, I haven't taken a GJ trade in a couple of weeks. We got a nice buy to the upside, but I tried to get that sell and back down into this level, which this is still relevant. But now I am looking at this level higher, right? So we can see probably this can continue to here. Oh, NZD, are you moving? NZD, are you falling? Did you finally turn around? You opened up a little high there, or maybe you opened up late. And then we got a little gap, a little 5-pip gap down, right? That means that, okay. Yeah, it should be a chill start to the week. Oh, my spread's still open on NZDs. Anyways, it should be a pretty chill start to the week. GBP USD, I think that we can get sells in here on how this is opening right now. This is on like 30-minute time frame. On the higher time frames, I would like to see prices test higher. When I look at GBP USD on the daily, I want to see this 1.3 level hit, and I'd be looking for sells. What I would look for on GBP. So price is already retested, right? This is structure, 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 right? This is the candle that broke the high. This is structure. What ends up happening here, and I'm pretty confident on this one, is that we probably see price pull back into this area here, right? Which again is another 100 pips, 80 pips or so, right? From where price is currently at. That would be in line with my NZD. This is gonna be a crazy week, guys. We can have some fun. I'm here for the fun. I'm all about it. But we might see price coming back into, that's 230 pips. Let's see how I would take this trade. And this is how you go from a loser to a winner, right? This is on the daily. So now I go and I scroll that back to the 4 hour. Let's see, tighten this up a little bit. And 35 pips, can I do it? 30 pips, can I do it? I like that. So what I see on GBP USD, this is a trade that I'll probably take. If price sells down, if we get some sells, 85 pips, this can be between today and Tuesday. If we get 85 pips and then on Wednesday, the market opens and we're right here, yo, I'm going crazy. For real, for real. I'm about to go in and we're going to see prices buy back up to this level. I like that a lot. That could be an alignment with our GBP JPY buys. They don't have to move together. GJ can move ahead of GU. Maybe GJ moves and we're here when GU finally gets to where it's supposed to be. It'll be based on the dollar. But I do like those GBPs buying, right? When I say I like the GBPs buying, what does that mean? You feel me? Essentially, y'all know that I love trading Euro GBP. That means that we should see Euro GBP sell while the GBP pairs buy. And I think that we eventually do get some bigger opportunities on Euro GBP down in here. I think we're buying up right now. We might see some sells, and then once GBPs are in place and Euros in place, we're gonna get another move on that, and that should be pretty fun, you guys. But with that being said, that's all I got for the week. For right now. Oh, you know what I could do? I ain't go over NAS. I didn't go over NAS. NAS is saucy right now. It's doing a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of things and stuff, a whole bunch of things and stuff, yo. I had called this NAS trade. I called it in my group last week, and I wanted to see price pull back into here. And if we pulled back into structure and stayed here, I wanted to see buys come off of that. I also skipped Euro USD, but Euro USD, we were in this one. This one went crazy. I could see some pullbacks in here now. I want to see it take out the highs, but I think that maybe the dollar sees some strength or something like that, and everything pulls back. I think the dollar sees some strength and everything else pulls back against it. NAS again, sorry to jump around. I do kind of like sells from here, right? Kind of like this double top, like an M into this structure. I want to see price back at this level, and then to see what it does. Maybe from here, it goes straight to the top, right? To 1630, 16,300, right? But I would expect for price to come in and test here first. I don't really like this downside. I'm more of but I like to look at both ends of it, right? But I'm more biased towards some sells to buys on NZD, on NAS, on really everything, right? That's what my motive is for the week, right? Sells to buys, right? Sells to buys. That would give me the best risk to reward trade setups. And that's what I got you guys. This was a really quick outlook, I think. I've also been getting back in line with like trading gold. I just told my girl I'm about to have to add gold back to my back to my list, because I've had a couple of good calls on gold. I call gold at 1910, and then now we are at 1925, so that's pretty solid. Let's see. Thing about gold is that this is one of those pairs that I'm only going to trade when it's like in my face, and it's just in my face. I don't be trying to make gold what it's not. I don't be trying to tell her what to do. But this is what I see. Ooh. Okay, so obviously you can see this trade has been called before, and there was a failed opportunity here, right? I never try to erase my failed opportunities because I was going to take the trade for a reason, right? Like I was going to take it for a reason. I might have been wrong at the time. Don't mean I was wrong. I think gold looks like it's ready to go crazy on this daily into maybe the highs. That's interesting. I like that gold came in. So here's the thing. This is what I see on it. We came in, we challenged the highs, and we sold from there, right? This creates an equal high. I don't like equal highs because equal highs means liquidity. You'll hear me speak about liquidity often. It's where there is orders above or below a certain level. Like in this area, there are people who are sellers that have stop losses above the highs, right? There's also people who are buyers who have buy stops above the highs, right? That's liquidity. That's where orders are found in the market. But we have an equal area. That means that there's orders here and there's orders here. They're in serious profits. You feel me? They're in serious profits. I oftentimes will look, and there's a triple one, there's another one over here. So I oftentimes will look left of some of these liquidity, like these more liquid areas. And I'll see if there's any structure above there that price can come back in and test. There's really not that much that I'm seeing on gold, to be honest. There's not really anything above here. I don't know how I got that measurement all the way to 2100. But what I see on this line chart is there's some areas down here where price can trade back into, and there's also some areas above. So what do I see and how would I take this trade and why would I be a buyer instead of a seller? I like a couple things. I like this 3 drive pattern kind of, right? We have price sells in here, buys, sells in here's buys, and then sells in here's and buys, right? On the last buys, we actually start to get this bullish engulfing candle, right? To where price is actually engulfing some of the previous candles. We also have this doji that comes in right at structure. So price traded down into this area. We have this doji right here at structure, and we've got a little bit of an imbalance right here. So my reason for taking the trade at 1910 is not because I feel like, oh my goodness, this is the trade on gold. This might be the pivot. I'm going to be rich off of this trade. But what I do believe is that it's a pretty good opportunity for me to enter at 1910 and to buy at least back to 1950, which is 400 pips. And when I'm on a smaller time frame and I'm risking 50 pips, for that 400 pips, then that's a good trade to me. You feel me? So essentially, like, I believe price actually ends up on gold pulling back into this 1950 area. We have the same setup again, you guys. We have our peak low, and then we have a higher low, and then we have a higher low. Followed by this higher low, what we would want to see would be a higher high that will direct us going forward, right? We want to see price come and break above here. And now if we break above here, where are we going to test? We're going to test this previous sell, right? So what will happen on gold? Potential price, does some, let's see if I can annotate, price might do something like this and go ahead and whoop, call a little whoop-de-whoop. And then boop, and then create a high, higher than this high, and then come back in and touch this, and whoop, we're gone, right? I don't know when this happens or if this happens, but if this happens in alignment with a news release coming out. And it's like, oh, we just now created a higher low right before the news releases. Yo, I'm going crazy. I'm telling you guys, like, we're gonna those I'm not saying I'm gonna risk my regular 0.5%, but when I'm risking 0.5% to make 4%, that's going crazy. You feel me? That's like a 1 to 8. And in this trade right here, what we have is we've got a 1 to 5 at least. You feel me? And I probably could tighten this up and make it 50 pips, like I said, and we have a 1 to 8. Right? So those are some of the opportunities on gold. I believe everything NZD sells to buys, gold sells to buys, dollar buys to maybe sells, guys. That might be how it works. The whole way through, I believe Euro NZD, I'm not trading Euro NZD. I don't like it because I'm in the middle. USD CAD, I believe entries probably right here, for real, for real. We might go ahead and have buys come in here, right? While everything else is sell. Everything else is selling to buy, USD CAD is buying to sell. You feel me? And that's what I got for you guys this week. Anybody got any questions? I've got 13 minutes on this call. I like GBP. What are my highlights? GBP, JPY, buy it, right? I like it. I like it because of risk to reward. And I'm probably going to open in the next 43 minutes when the spreads reduce. If price pulls back into here, if it comes up and it's bearish from the start, then I'm not going to enter, but I'll probably enter this trade if this comes. And these are the ones that I like to take on Sundays. You see the trades that I call on Sundays and I just hold all week and I just like forget about them. This is one of those. I think that we'll get that. I like everything on them in the market, guys. Like there's so many good setups. And they're good risk to reward setups. Some of the things are kind of conflicting for me just a little bit. But the way that I deal with that conflict is to just still look for the best risk to reward setups and the clearest ones as well. But you guys, anybody have any questions, feel free to. You guys can unmute right now. If you guys got some value from this call, go ahead and drop some fire signs in the chat, some 777s. I dropped the link late and we still got a pretty good turnout on the call. So I'm always grateful for you guys, ready to have another great week. We'll go ahead and light up the chat real quick. Let me see what you guys got in there. Ooh, I like this NAS as well. I do like NAS sells. I like this as well. I don't want to enter no NAS sells right now because price has already moved, but off of this level, I would have liked it. Price can pull back into here, and then we might see those bigger sells come down into here. See structure cleared, and then from that clear of structure, we go ahead and see some bigger opportunities. So that's what I'm looking at. Ain't nobody, let me see. Did not one person show me? Oh, okay. I had your chat, the chat behind the chat. I was like, yo, not one person showed love. All right. But all right, you guys, I'm about to hop off of here. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week. Stay tuned. We will have some setups and some opportunities coming this week. As price comes into these zones, you guys can see they're marked. I'll go ahead and I'll send them over. Hope you guys got some value again. And I'll see you guys next time on the next weekly outlook.